So the collaborative PhD program in SDS is really important because it aims to focus on long-term intractable problems and particularly into the causality and the correlation between many variables in the labour market. And too often, policy is derived from a single focus on input factors like skills. And we know there are many other factors in the labour market, and we need to understand those. And to make effective long-term policy, we need to have the evidence, and we really need to understand the interaction of all the variables. And as the National Skills Agency, it's really crucial that we can have a view on that, and that view has to be informed by high-quality research. We are not about pure research, we're about applied research.
The collaborative partnership that we have with SDS is particularly valued by the Scottish Graduate School, and there are a number of reasons for that. One is to do with the role played by Skills Development Scotland within the policy landscape. But another reason is particularly because of the specialist team here within SDS. So we've had great continuity. And SDS have a dedicated team who really look after their PhD cohort.
The benefits are that there's a next generation being created through this programme. The other thing is that the great area of strength that seems to be in Scotland is integrating the idea of what happens in the workplace with what happens in wider society or the economy. So there's a very strong focus on what happens inside firms and inside the workplace. That's something that's been missing far too often in skills research in the UK.
The reason why the collaborative PhD programme is so important is because historically there's been a disconnect between policymakers and academics. And I think if we want to develop good and useful evidence base in Scotland around the labour market and skills, what we need are to develop a cohort, continually developing new cohorts of researchers who don't just know the subject area, but also know how to work with policymakers. And the collaborative PhD programme is a training ground for those researchers.
I think a collaborative PhD program like the one that SDS has is very important for students because it offers you the opportunity to work with a sponsor like the SDS scheme, and that sponsor can help you find a link between your research and industry, thus giving you some outlook on how your research and your findings can apply in the real world. And for my PhD, for example, that is going to give me an opportunity to work with policymakers and influence policy at a national level and help universities better equip their students for work.
So I think there's something about the cohort and the ethos that's built up through the SDS programme that really makes this collaboration the jewel in the crown for our collaborative studentships.
The collaborative PhD programme in Scotland is unique in the UK. No other either central government or devolved administration is involved in this, and that's a pity, because what Scotland has got is a unique resource. It's got the capacity to build and tap into a research capacity which allows Scottish policymakers to have access to new ideas and innovative research in ways that allow them to be able to develop new policy ideas. And that's probably where it's way ahead of the rest of the UK, and that's probably why policymaking in Scotland is way ahead of the UK, because they've got this research base and this capacity to do things much more knowledgeably than the rest of the UK.
It genuinely does start to influence policy and development activity. Some of the work that we've done around, for example, careers information, advice and guidance looks at the impact of social media, and the fact that we have our own team working as sponsors within the organisation and working with the students, there's a real knowledge transfer there. So it takes cutting edge research but applies it to our new service offers and development.